Hi, it's Mr. V. I'm back. We're going to do some more conic examples like what is going to be on your test, only they will be multiple choice. And I'm going to work through some more examples here. Here we're to identify the vertices and foci of each. And you'll notice this has got a minus in between it, so I know that it's going to be a hyperbola. And if I have the y value first before the minus sign, I know it's going to be a vertical up and down orientation opening. And my focus will be at 0C. My vertex will be at 0A, where A is the number underneath the Y. So I have my H comma K, my center. The H is associated with the X, so this will be at 0. My K is associated with the Y, so this will be -1. My A value is equal to 2, and my B value is equal to 5. Now we know that a squared plus b squared in this instance is equal to c squared. That's not true for an ellipse, but it's true for this. So I have c is equal to the square root of 29, which is somewhere a little bit more than 5. So if I were to graph this, let's see, the foci and the vertices. Since it's a horizontal vertical orientation, I'm at 0, -1. This would be my center. I'm going to go a plus or minus 2 in the orientation for the vertex. So I have my vertices are going to be at in the 0 direction. It's going to be 0 starting at -1 plus 2 and 0, -1 minus 2. So that would be -1 and 3, which is what you show over here. For the focus, which is going to be, so it's going to open something like this. And for the foci, I'm going to be a little bit, let's see, I'm going to have my 0 value again, because it's going to be 0. And then I'm going to start at my -1, and I'll have to add the 29, square root of 29, and I'll have to subtract the square root of 29. Square root of 29 is about 5, and so it's going to be way over here somewhere. And so it's going to be very wide, which is what you show. Again, it's a hyperbola. I've got a minus sign in between. I've got the y, so I know this opening or up and down. My a value is equal to 4. My b value is equal to 9. I'm sorry, 3. What was I thinking? 3. And c value is equal to 5. Because a squared plus b squared is c squared. That would be 16 plus 9 is 25. My hk is 0, 0. It's going to go through the center. And to do in the x direction, I'm going to add the a, 1, 2, 3. No, yeah, add the a, 1, 2, 3. And sorry, 4, a. I'm going to subtract 4. So this is, it's going to open something like this. My vertex, you'll notice that this is on the axis of symmetry, would be, so my vertices would be at 0 in the x direction, and then I would have 0 plus 4 or 0 minus 4 in the y direction. For the foci, it's going to be a little bit more than that. So it would be 0 plus 5 or 0 minus 5. The information to write, this is a hyperbola, so I know it's going to have a minus sign in between the two terms. The ones that are staying constant here are the -6. This is for the vertices. And the conjugate axis would be a -3. So I'm going to just draw a real quick little sketch here. If I'm at -6 in the y direction, and I'm going to be at 2 or -8 for my vertices. So halfway between 2 and -8 is going to give me -3. So this value would be at -3, -6. And that's going to be my center. My HK is going to be at -3, -6. Now, this means that it's going to be opening horizontally because these are my vertices. And the coaxis, joining the coaxis, notice it's at -3, which is here, and it's got to go to -2 or -10. -2 or -10. And halfway between those, of course, is going to be my -6. And so if I were to make a box out of this, you could see where the vertices are going to be here for the asymptotes. So it would show me better what the graph is going to look like. But I know it's going to open this way and this way. So I need to write this in standard form equation. So since it's opening horizontally, I know it's going to be in this form of the equation, where my x minus h squared over a squared and y minus k is going to be subtracting the y part of it. So if I were to write this, I'm going to have the x minus a -3 squared. It's going to be the y minus a -6 squared. And this has got to equal to 1. Now it's just a question of getting the denominator correct. And I know that my a value, which we said before was going to be 2 to 6, is going to be from -3 to 2 is going to be 5. So this will be 25. And in the y direction, to go from -6 to -2 would be 4. So this would be 16. Let's try this again. Here we have the x values are staying the same for my vertices. If I were just to sketch this and to say, okay, at 8, my vertices are going to be at 9 and at -5. And halfway between those, this is at x is equal to 8. Halfway between those is where my x value is 8, and my y value is going to be halfway between 9 and 4, which is 2. So that's my center. My hk is equal to 8, 2. And now it's a question of saying, well, let's see, this is a vertical orientation. And in a vertical orientation for a hyperbola, I'm going to have the form is going to be like this. So it'll be y squared and minus the h squared. So I'm going to have y minus 2 squared. I'm going to have the minus the x minus 8 squared. And it's got to equal to 1. Now the question is, what is my a value and what is my b value? And if I notice here, to go from from 2 to 9, it's going to be a distance of 7. So this will be, my a value is 7, and my a squared is equal to 49. Now in the y direction, for the conjugate axis, to go from -8, 2 to get up to 15, 2, I have to add 7. So my b value is equal to 7, and my b squared is equal to 49. Okay, use the information provided to find the standard form of each hyperbola. The vertices, the x direction is staying the same. Again, I'm going to just make a little quick sketch of this, and I have my 8 value here. I'm going to be at 8 and -10. And halfway between those is going to be at -1. So this is at 8, -1. That's my center. I know that since this is my axis where the vertices are, that it's going to be opening up and down. It'll look something like this if I were to graph it. And the distance from -1 to 8 is 9. The distance from -1 to -10 is 9. So my a value is equal to 9. Now, to go to the conjugate axis, I'm at -1. And to get to 20, -1, I would have to go, my b value is going to be equal to 12. And same thing, if I went in a negative direction, it would get me to -4. And so I can write this equation as, since it's opening up and down, I'm going to start with the y minus a negative 1, which is this squared, and I'm going to have a minus an x minus 8 squared, and it's got to equal to 1. The question is, what is my a value, which is 9, so this is 81, and my b value is 12, so this is 144. And let's see if I have any more questions. I have a few more examples to go through. This is a parabola. We know that this is a parabola. I can identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry of each, then sketch the graph. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to factor out a 2 and write this as x squared plus 8x plus 16. What two numbers multiply to give me 16 and add to give me 8? That would be 4 and 4. So I could write this as x plus 4 squared is equal to y. My vertex would be at negative 4. It's a double vertex because it intersects here. It's going to open upward, so it'll look like this. And my axis of symmetry is equal to x is equal to negative 4. Opens up and down because it's a y equals. The vertex is at negative 4, 0. Here we have 1. It's got a negative sign in front of it. I know it's going to open down. It's got y equals. And I could factor this as negative x times x plus 4, in which case my zeros are at 4 and at negative 4. That's where it crosses the x-axis. The axis of symmetry is halfway between those two, so that's when x is equal to negative 2. If I substitute negative 2 into the equation, negative 2, I get 2 times 2, which is 4. This is where it crosses. This is my vertex, and this is the sketch. Use the information to write the vertex form of the equation of each parabola. So if the vertex is at negative 7, 6, and the focus is at negative 7 and something, if I look at my equation for parabola, when my focus and my vertex both have the same, what was it? It has the same x value. So if this has the same x value right here, I can see that it's going to be opening up and down, which is great. And let's look at this. 6 over 4 times 4. This could be written as 24 fourths, and this is 25 fourths. So if I were to just sketch a quick graph of this, I'm going to go at negative 7, 6. There's my vertex. I'm just sketching a graph to help me figure this out. And the focus is going to be at negative 7, and it's going to be a little bit more than 6. So it'll be up here. So it's going to open up something like this, I think, if that's right. Negative 6. I need to know, I know that y equals, and it's going to be my x minus the h value, which is a minus a negative 7, which is plus 7, squared, plus the k value, h and k. But I need to know what this value is. And I don't know what this is yet. I know that it's, according to the formula, it's 1 over 4p. Well, what is p? P is going to be all right, find it here. 1 over 4p. P is the difference from my vertex to the next value, to the focus. And the difference from the vertex to the focus is going to be 25 fourths minus 24 fourths, which is 1/4. And to find that's my p value. So if I want to find the a value, a is equal to, this is p, 1 over 4p, which is 1 over 4 times 1/4, which is equal to 1. So this value is 1, and this is my equation. And sure enough, it checks with what we've got over here. Let's try another one of these, maybe two more of these. Vertex, this is my h and k. And the focus is going to be at 7, and the y value is going to be different. So let's just look at the sketch of this real quickly. If I have 7 and 4, here's my vertex, and my focus is going to be 7, and 9/2 would be a little bit more than 4. So it's going to be up here. It's going to open up again like this. And I can write that as y equals something times x minus the h squared plus the k. Now the question is, what is this value? This value is equal to 1 over 4p. And what is p equal to? Well, p is my difference between here. This distance here is equal to p. So if I go 4 minus, or 9/2 minus 4, I can write that as 9/2 minus 4. 9/2 minus 8/2, which is equal to 1/2. That's going to equal to my p value. So my a value is equal to 1 over 4 times 1/2, which is 1 over 2. So I should get 1 over 2. And sure enough, that's what we have as our answer over here. And my last example, this is my hk. And I'm going to look at this. My x value is 6 and -9. There's my vertex. And this is going to be, what is it, 540? This is going to be a little bit less than -9. So I think it's going to be like this and opening this direction, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to be in vertical orientation because my x values stayed the same here. So I can write this as y equals something times x minus my h value squared plus my y value. And I need to know what this value is. This value is a. A is equal to 1 over 4p. P is this distance between my focus and my vertex. So it's going to be a -9. It's going to be the absolute value of a -9 minus 541 over 60. And if I were to rewrite this, I could write this as 9 times what to get to 60? Oh, I don't know. -9 times 60 is 540, of course. So I have 540 over 60 minus 541 over 60. And this becomes 1 over 1 over 60. And that distance is my p value, is 1 over 60. And I said it's absolute value. It's not absolute value. It's like this. So it's going to be a -1 over 160. And when I multiply this out, I get 4 times 1 over 60, a negative. And this is equal to -15. So my coefficient here is -15. And does it check? Yes, it does. Very good. That's all I have for today. Good luck on your test, and have a great summer.